where you were at an ORFA meeting and you said you were going to install REALice, and people looked at you as if you had two heads. Can you take us back to that and tell us a little bit like what was happening and what was your response? And
Sure. Yeah, I can take you back. So as you can see, I am a past president of ORFA, so I was having conversations with a lot of the members, as well as some of the people that were on the board, and made the comment that we've done our due diligence, we did our investigative work. Connor and I worked well together as a team. We're both different departments. I manage the property department, and he is in the recreation and culture department. But it was very important that even though that I've worked in facilities for 40 plus years, it was the actual operators today that needed to have the buy-in. So there's no way I was going to make any recommendation without doing that. So it's different. It's I call it an oxymoron. We've been taught to use as hot of the water as we can to melt it and to make good ice. But through our due diligence and conversations with people across Ontario, different municipalities, with some of the mostly good comments. Temperature was a little bit different in different areas. Right now, we are running around 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Some of the municipalities that we talked to run there at 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're still kind of working through it. So if I take you back a little bit to our process, I've seen REALice advertisements out on the market for a couple of years, and at the end of the day, I just wasn't going to look at it. The cost was about 50 some $1,000s to purchase the equipment and have it installed. And back in 2023, we did a roadmap to net zero through FCM. We had some funding through FCM, and we determined how we needed to get to net zero in all our buildings. So the arena was obviously one of the facilities that uses the most energy and natural gas and things like that. So we had to determine how we can get to that. And two of the things that popped up was an electric ice resurfacer, which we did because it was a time for us to change our ice resurfacer. And then the second thing was what they refer to as cold water flooding. And with cold water flooding, it was shown that we could reduce our greenhouse gases by 43 CO2 equivalent, which is quite large. Give me some information about the incentives that are out there through the IESO, as well as Enbridge gas. And it was basically going to cover the majority of the cost basically cover the cost of the equipment. And our only cost would be the installation. So Connor and I met, we had some conversations, and we decided we would reach out to some people in the province to see who has it and have those conversations. And they were all positive. None of them were negative, and that they would continue to use it. The ice was clear. One of the comments we had from somebody was they had a curling program on the ice surface on Mondays, and there were always complaints about they couldn't see, like with curling ice, you use wool for your lines, and you couldn't see the wool lines. And then all of a sudden, when they did the REALice, they could now see the lines. So again, we did our due diligence. We worked through the numbers. We both were in agreement that this is the way we would go. So we went through the process, did a report, went to council, made the recommendation, and they supported it wholeheartedly. Like it was a no-brainer to them. Ultimately, if it didn't work for what it cost us, we could remove it, but it does work.
what is your ice running at?
So originally, before the REALice, we were running around 21, 20, depending on the time of year.
Right.
Right now, we had been running 25 degrees for about a month, and we just raised it yesterday to 26 degrees, which I still think is too hard. Colleen and I were talking earlier, one of the biggest things is line clarity and just how clear the ice is. Another thing that we noticed is how much faster the puck slides on the ice, which can be seen in the training videos in the course. And I couldn't believe how, like, the puck doesn't stop. As soon as it hits the ice, it just goes to the far end, basically. Other things we're seeing is depending on outside temperature is a factor right now, because obviously it's cold weather. So That's why I still think our ice temperatures are still a little bit too hard. But with young kids on the ice, we have no skate marks at all. The ice is really good condition. It seems to be working really well.
So when we talk about 26 Fahrenheit, what's that? Is that infrared? Is that your brine?
Yeah, brine supply temperature.
Or brine supply? And isn't that making you a bit nervous?
Originally, yes. We haven't had any issues at all with going that high. We installed REALice mid-season. So we had to shave down, quarter inch or above the paint. So we were really worried. We started on a Tuesday night at midnight, shaved down till around 4 in the morning. I came back in for 7 o'clock a.m. and we had a junior A game Tuesday evening. So basically we were in big trouble if this didn't work the way that REALice described it was going to. Like to build 3/4 of an inch of ice in one day seems like almost unrealistic, but we were done by 2 o'clock in the afternoon kind of thing. Wow. So the biggest problems that from my own perspective and from our operator's perspective, we're going to be that one, the ice temperature is too high. There's a risk of if we have a malfunction in the compressor room, we're now out of time basically, where before where we were at 21, you have 15 hours of time before the ice raises that much, but with the outside temperature, that's not so much of a worry. The other thing was, how are we going to do heavy floods and have it set in time to be able to have hockey that night? If you've taken the training at all, it says that you can complete a heavy hose flood in that. I think it's 20 minutes. And it shows to start in the center of the ice, go one way. Once you're done that half and you start the second half, by the time you're done your second half, the first half would be set. I originally did not believe that, but it's true. We started at one end, and just because of where our Zamboni door is, we had to walk backwards with the hose, with a guy pulling the hose behind. Well, it was me building it, but by the time I was at the Zamboni gate, the far end of the ice was ready to be flooded again.
Wow.
So,
wow. You mentioned their course a couple of times. So that's our training and certification course for the people that haven't heard of that. So basically that's what we offer with the system. And the reason for that we came up or started building that course a couple of years back is simply that while it's not rocket science, there might be some things that are different. However, and correct me if I'm wrong, Connor, I think a lot of things are just simply best practices in making ice. Would you see it the same way?
yeah, I would for sure.
Right. What's the effect on the compressors? Like, what do you see? Like 26 Fahrenheit is again, that's far cry
They
from
don't run.
They don't run. You're a skater, I've learned, and you're skating on the ice. How would you describe the difference? How is it? How's the feel? How is it? Is there any difference?
Yeah, I would say there's a major difference just because of I would more say it's because of the ice temperature. It feels softer, but not like it's not slushy. It's still hard ice, but it just feels a good ice. It's nice quality. Um, like you can actually like I'm crazy enough to ref adult men's hockey and get yelled at the whole time, but I've had quite a few comments on how the ice has improved and how like I said before, the puck is sliding. It just seems faster overall.
In terms of maintenance, Connor, like, and again, I mean, it must have been shocking. Like, what? I don't have hot water anymore. And then second, probably like, whoa, my maintenance is just going through the roof because I have to do way more work. How did you deal with that, and how did it actually turn out?
We don't have to do a whole lot of ice maintenance. We I mean like we have level ice on our Zamboni, so it seems to help quite a bit with keeping everything level, I would say. Um, Cutting back the water is a factor, obviously, from each operator individually, but overall, nothing really changed from an operation standpoint. It's the exact same hose we were filling with before. Yeah, like if we didn't tell our operators we were switching systems, they wouldn't have known.
And when Connor mentioned we were operating with our brine supply temperature, that's what we're managing. Our staff now is taking 2 readings a week just to see what the ice temperature is. But one of the other things that we've been doing is we had some humidistats put on our dehumidifiers in the rink, and the recommendation was to raise the humidity or make sure the humidity is at a certain level. So our set point is 55% humidity, and it'll shut off at 50. Which is, so that's a good thing. So we know what we're monitoring. I've been told that we might be able to get it up a little higher, but we'll play with it over the next few months.
So sometimes we find some interesting side effects too, and I've heard, from facilities that notoriously don't have warm water for showers. And while I'm not aware if that's the case for you, but is there any other side effects that you're observing right now?
Yeah, actually there is. So that's been an advantage because we were using a couple of holding tanks off our boiler to have the hot water for the Zamboni, and now we've put those 2 holding tanks on the domestic hot water side of things.
Okay.
So Connor was talking a little bit earlier about the adult hockey players. They seem to be the only people that actually take showers, and they used to complain because they'd be out of hot water. So I don't know if Connor, if you can respond to whether or not it's been an improvement.
I haven't heard any complaints about water, a lot more about other things, but
Yeah, but speaking of complaints, do patrons notice the difference?
I haven't, I'm not really in the building at night to hear from the average user, I guess, but overall, I think most people are saying that the ice is in good condition. Like the lines are definitely more clear than they were. The ice seems better quality. We used to have to do, ice maintenance in the corner quite a bit just to be able to see the lines even, but now seems like it's a lot more clear. So
I believe you guys have a busy rink.
yeah, we started, I would say on average, well, on Saturday and Sunday, we start at 6:30 in the morning and we have ice basically till midnight. And weekdays we have, I would say the average start time 7:30 in the morning. Probably 4 to 5 hours of ice per day in the daytime, and then from 4 o'clock till midnight every night, both sides.
With that, let's open it up. If anybody has a question, please, you can unmute yourself and whoever you want to address it to Connor or to Ross.
Ross, you're saying 26-degree Fahrenheit brine temp, and you think you might still try to experiment with raising it up a little bit more. Is that right?
Yes. So with it being at 26, that means our ice temperature is probably somewhere around 24, I think. We're going to try as long as so. If you look at any of the information, they talk about the snowball test, and depending on the compaction of it, so if you compact it and it's wet, then obviously it isn't any good, or if it falls apart, it's the same thing. It's to have the snow that it compacts properly. So we do that, or sorry, staff here do that, and as long as it's still not falling apart or too wet, then we'll continue to play with the temperature.
Perfect. We have a question from Richard, and I will address this to Connor. I don't know if you see it in the chat, but he's basically asking if you're installing mid-season, which we titled this session, what's the process? Can you take us through? Is it, what did you guys have to do?
Yeah, so we were recommended to try and shave down as close to the paint as we could without obviously compromising any of the paint, because that would be a major problem. The night before, around 8 p.m., we started cutting ice at midnight. So around 8 p.m., we raised from 21 to 23 degrees Fahrenheit for our ice temperature, and we shaved down for 4 hours. I would say anywhere from ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice taken out, and we built on top of that, and we've had no problems at all with that. Yeah, so we used the REALice provided the wand to flood with, and all of our hose floods were done with the wand. And I can't exactly remember, but I believe we did 8 to 10 heavy hose floods within 6 hours. Now, that was on 2 pads as well.
Perfect. That takes us down to the bottom of the hour. Thank you so much for joining. I know it's Christmas season, so even better that you could make it. And we all see you hopefully in the next year, in the new year, for any of our operator-to-operator chats. We'll put them on once a month. Again, it's an open mic, it's an open exchange. And special thanks to Ross and Connor for being here. Thanks very much.